Welcome, Wargamers. Join your hosts, Bonko and Monty, two Canadian wargaming enthusiasts, as we explore all aspects of tabletop wargaming. We roll dice, talk tactics, share hobby hacks, and explore new tabletop systems, all on the Trident Wargaming Podcast. Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I am joined with one of the Battle Brothers, Mr. Dan. He was on the podcast before, so you might remember him. If not, this is Dan. This is the Princeps Seniors here.
Oh yeah, hey. I'm glad to be back. I know it was a little awkward there, but you know, I'm glad to be back. So
awesome, man.
Because I missed last time, and then you guys just talked about me the whole time.
Well, that's true, and we tried to do you justice, but it, you know, coming from some noobs, it didn't work out perfectly. We got the gist.
Yeah, we had a Vox blackout, as you could say. It was for whatever reason there was a power failure in our city. Took out the cell phone. Sorry, the radio towers, the cell towers. Yeah. I didn't have any data, so I wasn't able to even come on Discord or use my computer or anything. So I couldn't even try. Yeah. Unless I wanted to drive to the other end of the city where the power was working, but
yeah, I remember you were saying, you're like, man, I only got like 10%, it's gonna die. I was like, oh, it's over, man. Like, it's just that not happening.
Yeah. I couldn't even charge my phone. I had to like sit in my car and like had it running for like half an hour just to even charge my phone.
Oh god.
So
yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
So but we got you in now for an episode, so that's always good. I guess just to kick things off, hobby stuff. I know I've been pretty busy, but what have you been up to the last little while?
Yeah, we didn't end up going to Vegas, and I was working at finishing my Vulpa. I didn't manage to do that. I just got deterred and the other thing was all I had left was the paint trim, and who the hell wants to paint trim? So
no doubt.
I just put them to the side because I had this little secret DIY Legio that I was sort of working on, and now I just wanted to pull those guys out. So now I've just started to work on those guys for now.
Yeah.
So
those are the guys you were playing on the weekend?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. We'll get to that in just a sec. No, that's good. I know I've been cranking out on Titan frames, getting panels all primed up, ready to go. Because yeah, we weren't able to hit Vegas. I got Nurgle's touch. I became a herald of contagion, and wasn't able to go. So, but yeah, I did get a decent amount of stuff done. Built a few Warhounds, built 2 Reavers, another Warlord. Still got a little bit of a to-do pile, but it's coming along. It's been good. So,
and yeah, we've been talking about it a bit, but yeah, I'm excited for those Zona Mortalis boards that just became available like a week ago.
Yes.
And I have this big plan to make this big, orbital station kind of thing, because I have all the Mechanicum or the factory box sets that came out.
Oh, with the cranes and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and like building the scenes from like Titan Death for when the Solaria and Vulpa were fighting each other and stuff out on the orbit. So I'm excited to get those soon.
What's this thing called? This is the Manufactorum Imperialis.
Yeah, that's what it's called. Because I ended up grabbing a couple boxes because apparently that's the only thing GW sells for Titanicus train now.
Yeah, so, a lot of the Civitas I think are long gone.
Yeah.
Which, RIP. They look beautiful. As a guy who's been building a couple of them, they're bullshit. Like, for real, they are. And, like, I hate them. They look awesome, but I hate it. I bought 4 boxes worth of used terrain, but they weren't put together very well, so I broke them all apart just with super glue and stuff. And now I'm dreading trying to put them together, because brand new sprue out of the box, cut with those mighty god hand clippers, it still goes together like shit. So I'm like, no, it's going to be even worse with all this extra crap I gotta kind of Dremel off and put together. So not looking forward to that, but it is what it is. So
because I think you were saying that it was almost as bad as the old Imperial sector stuff, where it's like lining up walls and trying to make things just fit, but they don't really fit as they should.
It pretty much is, and they have, you know, they built it and they thought they were clever with like these interference fits where you can put small little boxes on top of other buildings and stack them. The problem is you're gluing two panels together that come to like a really nice crisp point, and you have to glue like a separate like cross beam in between the two. But if it's not lined up perfect, when you're trying to, you know, sandwich it on top of another one, you'll hear them like crack, crack, and you're like, oh shit, because, you know, like the angle was off or whatever the case. You're not making a true like 90-degree angle with that rectangle building. They might be kind of just a little bit out, and it's a little tough. So plastic glue is your friend. That's all I'll say. It lets you work with it for a bit. So that's what I've learned. But I guess let's get to the good stuff. This episode is called Reaver Retaliation because now in several of my games I have been curb stomped by Reavers that get too close and just axe my leg off. And I've had Warlords go down like nothing. So we got to get together on the weekend. There was 4 of us. We got to get some gaming in. It was nice to roll some dice. The game was really fun with, like, for myself. I was playing Josh, and I know you and Andy were throwing down. So it was, yeah, it was a lot of fun to kind of get back into it. I know it's starting to ramp up now where we get some dedicated drop-in times to play. So that part's been pretty good. I chickened out and went with an Axiom Maniple again. I've played like all 4 of my games with it. Just, it's kind of what I know, right? And as I start looking at other ones, I kind of just get spooked. I'm like, I don't know, man. And I just kind of drift back to what I know. But there's a couple different ones I want to try out. I'm going to butcher that name.
You just have to accept that you're going to fail those orders and not have to do, and you won't do orders for the rest of that round. Yeah. You just have to accept that that's what's going to happen, because that's the only maniple that lets you just, there's so much forgiveness with that one.
Yeah, well, if you fail 2 in a row, it still sucks. And it happened to me. I rolled the 1 and then I rolled the 1, and Josh was like, you gonna shake that dice? I was like, man, I wish I did, because double 1s really sucks. And then he ended up failing his order, and he's like, well, okay, that really sucked for both of us. So
yeah, because I know even Andy had like one of those moments where he, you know, he's like, because I was like, you know, telling him, I'm like, you know, with orders, generally you want to start with the guy with the highest command, usually your Princeps, you know, and work your way down, because you don't want to fail on a war round that's, you know, leadership 5. And he's like, oh, okay, so he starts with his Princeps, rolls a 1, and he's like, so that's just the end of my orders? And I'm like, yeah, buddy, that's the end of your orders, because you just rolled the worst result on a Princeps or Warlord, right, which would be a 2+. Every other dice roll would have been fine except for that one, which just stopped the whole thing.
Brutal. That's brutal. Yeah.
So you obviously want to talk about your PTSD of Reavers.
Well, it's just
bad stuff to you?
Yeah. So, you know, during my time playing Titanicus, and it's been mentioned, like I've read some Goonhammer articles about it, and they're talking about, you know, having a battle plan and making sure you're, you know, thinking ahead. And coming from Heresy, right? There's some tactical nuances to that game, but to Titanicus, honestly, like there's a whole nother layer of these tactics with timing, especially of how you're going to do your activations. And the game was going it was going okay until turn 3, and I really like dropped the ball. I totally screwed up on the way I should have done my activations, and I ended up getting charged because of it before I could fire and do some major damage. I had to fire first order on my warlord, and because my warhound was in a position where the objective was I had to be so close to his deployment zone. If I'm outside of 24, I don't get any points. So I ended up moving my warhound up first because he was going to get a side shot on him from his warlord, and I was like, oh, okay, I gotta stay a step ahead of him. But here, you know, I'm in charge range of getting completely just annihilated by this Reaver, and I just blanked out, didn't even look at it, and okay, cool. And then he's like, all right, I'm gonna charge, and I'm like, no. And just that was it. Like, that poor warlord didn't get a chance to use the fire first. I might have been able to call shot on the leg because his leg was damaged already. I had not the best chance, but still the chance where I could have probably killed him if I rolled well with all my weapons. But it cost me my warlord, and my warlord was, I won't lie, boys, like, gather close. It was pretty much mint. Like, I had one damage pip on the body, and that was it. Like, I still had half voids. Everything was looking good. My reactor was in the green. Yeah. And then he just came up and touched me, and that was it. That warlord was pretty much half crippled, and then he got to actually do some major damage later, and that was it. I couldn't get far away enough in time, and yeah. But that one activation, man, that one activation got me, and both times my warlords have fallen down to that. It's been against Reavers, so Reavers kind of scare me.
Did he use his stratagem where he gets like extra attacks?
Yes, he did.
I'm trying to look for it right now. I think it's in the Loyalist book, and I'm used to the Trader book.
I think it was it increased his attacks. Like he gets like an extra. I think it was 6 inches worth of attacks. Yeah. So even if you move 3 inches, he still got like an extra 3 attacks or something like that. And I was like, oh god. And obviously, Chain Fist just came rolling in. He's like, I'm gonna call your leg, and I was like, no, and that was it, man. Like, leg gone.
Cause Josh plays Gryphonicus like every other person, and he plays them well. So
yeah, we've got 4 Gryphonicus players locally, and like tight knit locally, right? Like we'll probably be playing against Gryphonicus all the time, right? Unless you decide to turn coat and run your defensor, and then you're fighting us too. But it's just it's gonna be fun. I've got some Titan Rex on my bases that I'm probably gonna paint up in Gryphonicus colors, because
we were joking
the majority.
About that earlier. Yeah, we were just like, well, the majority of the population have Gryphonicus, so just paint all your stuff on your dead models as Gryphonicus.
Yeah, I think that'd work out good.
It'll appeal to, it'll piss off half our group. So
yeah. Then they'll just bring more Reavers and throw me into the corner and lay the boots to me, right? So
yeah.
But yeah, it's been interesting. I've even considered taking that Power Claw on a Warlord now, just because it's like, at least I have something to hit back with.
Yeah, so. I don't know if a fist on a Warlord is worth it. I'm not. I don't mean as an attack to try and be like a Reaver and like fly up the board and try to kill something.
Like defensively.
I think it's more of a defensive thing. Yeah. Against Reavers or Knights that try to screw with you. Yeah.
So, and just learning more little things about the game too, right? Like, it's, it's always better to fire your blast first, especially if you can get some cool splash damage. Firing it close to, packed Titans, you can try and get multiple hits. That seems to be a really nice way to roll. I know we ended up getting the Void Breaker rule wrong. Josh and I were talking about it earlier today. And it's not per hit that you roll the additional. It's just if you get a hit, you have to take an additional 2 dice. So even with 3 hits total from your, you know, the Volkite weapons, you'll only ever get max 5 dice for the guy to roll. Where we were rolling it, you know, at the time it was 2 per hit, and I was like, oh man, this is sick, right? Like, to hell with Vulcan Mega Bolters, man. I'm going Volkites all day, and then it was like, oh, it's not that good, actually.
Because, yeah, after we talked about it, I was thinking about it. I was just like, what was everyone complaining about when they first came out? And I was like, oh, Vulcan Mega Bolters were always better, and people are like, the Volkites are garbage, and it's just like, and then all of a sudden you were saying like, oh, 9 hits? I'm like, that's pretty good. Like, wow.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Can't complain against that.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, there's a reason why, because it was wrong. So
yeah,
that's okay. Live and learn. We both played it that way, so.
Yeah, Josh ended up messaging me and telling me that that you guys did it, or he did it wrong, because he played me before he played you. So
yeah, I did notice too, and this is something I asked like in the greater community, but it was met with some silence, is on the card it says that the max range is 20 inches, but on the battle scribe, and don't get me wrong, I'm not treating it as gospel, I'm just saying, you know, on battle scribe it says 24. So I'm wondering if it's just a misprint or like kind of a mistake because they just copy and pasted from the Warlord one, or what the scene is. But yeah, I was asking if anybody knew an FAQ. I tried to read through it and I didn't see anything apparent. So they have something for every book, it seems, out there, but nothing on specific cards for the Volkite. They did talk about the Gatling blasters and how it's corridor, not an arc anymore. So, which that really wrecked my day here. I played Dan last couple weeks ago, and I was like, "Oh, dude, I don't even have to take the, you know, tracking gyros anymore. I have you know, arc with the Gattlers anyways." And he's like, and then hour later, it's like, "Oh, sad panda." I was like, "Oh, why'd you send me that?" Right? It just totally blew apart my plan, and it's like, well, now I have to find another 50 points to squeeze into this army. So
yeah, it's kind of, now that we're getting more involved into like Titanicus, it's turning into heresy where it's finding all the Dragon Balls to try and get a complete rule set.
Yeah,
because we got, you know, there's 6 or 7 different rule books, and then there's FAQs. The FAQ, for whatever reason, it's correcting the old books, but it's still correcting the new books, and they should just start fresh and just have like a general brand new Titanicus FAQ.
Yeah, that would be nice. Like, I definitely didn't miss out on any of the books. I've got them, but just from what I've noticed, unless you're looking for some specific campaign stuff or certain missions, a lot of it seems to be in the Loyalist and Trader books now.
Yeah, and that's the way I've been looking at it too. Because, well, even like I played somebody and they're like, "Oh yeah, I got this stratagem," and I'm like, "Where'd you get it from?" And they're like, "A book," and I'm like, "What book?" And they're like, "I don't know. Battlescribe says it's on this book," and I'm like, "So you're going off a rule from Battlescribe that's got it from some book that you don't even own? Like, how are you using it, right?" Like, yeah. I'm like, I don't even know if it's updated or relevant anymore, right?
It's
like,
true, yeah, it could be gone by now, yeah.
Yeah, so, but, yeah, so I don't know.
It's all,
I guess we got a little tangent-y there.
Well, it's just, it's going through and trying to get all the, like you said, get all the info, get all the Dragon Balls, and really start to kind of hone the game. It's nice to know, you know, as a war gamer, it's nice to know the dimensions of the box that you have to play in. Right? Is, I guess, the best way to put it. So the more you can kind of learn that, and the faster you learn that, the better you'll get some really crucial experience, right? It very much feels like making the right combination of activations, like making the least amount of, I don't want to say mistakes, but the least amount of like tactical errors will definitely carry you in the game to a point where it can be very fun and very unforgiving, like I explained, like if you make the wrong call. So
yeah,
that part's pretty fun.
And I think with the game, I think honestly, with the game, I think 10% of you winning is your actual Legio, because they're kind of, I wouldn't say balanced, but there's nothing like super strong about most Legios. Mm-hmm. And then 40% is luck, because in this game it's all dice oriented and there's things that can happen. And then the other 40% is you actually being a good commander or princeps or whatever you want to call yourself.
Yeah.
And actually being good at playing tabletop games.
Yeah, no, very true. Very true.
So, I mean, it basically just comes down to luck and actually being skilled.
Yeah,
but that can swing the other way for someone who's not skilled, right?
Oh, very true.
40%.
Very true.
Lucky dice rolls.
I know in my game, because we were also talking, we use strats as well. This is the second time we use some strat points. And this game, we played 2K per side for our Legios, and we had 6 points each we could use. And I went gluttonous. I only picked 3 strats that were 2 points apiece. Trying to get a little gamey, get some gamey shit going on in there, and it did backfire a little bit. I ended up taking experimental coolant and experimental weaponry, where I was really hoping to get my Gatling blasters on the Carapace with maximal fire, and I ended up rolling on my Mori Quake Cannon instead, and that kind of sucked a little bit. Don't get me wrong, when the Quake Cannon barked, like it did damage, but it was just like it would have been so much cooler for 12 strength 7 shots with ordnance just blasting away. Because then you can actually start to plink away a little bit. But yeah, it was one of those things. It was a fun, not gimmick, but it was a fun little strategy to try and pull off. The experimental coolant I thought was really cool. The 5+, it's okay. For what you get to use it for, it's nice to be able to have the extra rolls. But coming from a Trader Legio, I'd rather just end up taking Frozen Soul and then backing it up with the Gilidara, where you can vent your plasma quicker and just get extra dice as well. That is to help with venting plasma. So I think that would be a better use instead of using strat points for that.
Yeah.
That's just my thing. And then I ended up using that Haywire Bombardment again, because it was so greasy against Andy. I loved it, and it did do some damage to some Warhounds of Josh's, which was nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll have to definitely play around with a bunch and see how it goes. I know we used the open card deck pack too, the open war one. That was really cool. We were on a planet where we had to roll dice, and anything 2 up, you got to do D6 strength 8 hits bombardment to each other. And if you rolled a 1, your opponent got to do it twice. And there was a redeeming turn, I think it was turn 4, where Josh rolled a 1, and I was able to actually bombard him twice. But I rolled 1 on the D6 or 2, and then strength 8, I'm rolling 1s to do damage, just superficial, nothing, right? Yeah. I was just I just looked at him, he's like, man, your dice suck, right? I was like, this is terrible. It's just,
That's what I'm talking about with the dice roll. There's times where you could totally get 12 shots and roll all 6s, right? But you ended up rolling 1s and 2s, and
and that's the thing. I guess it's one thing to always keep in mind, especially when you're playing anything that involves dice, is the dice gods have the final say. And if they don't want you to do well, they will stuff you at every turn. Right? There are times, and I'm talking about the guys who are the counting, doing the averages in their head, on average I should get this. The dice gods, they like you especially, because they really want to twist it in you and be like, oh, now you're rolling below average, And it happens. The guy's like, this is insane. Like, this is so just unlikely to happen. And I'm like, but it's happening. And you just got to accept it. Like, it's just the way it is. So, those dirty dice gods, they do get you.
There was a funny moment I played with, because I was playing with Josh a couple of weeks ago, and there was a time where I had to make, I can't remember what the roll was, but I needed 2 6s to survive, and I was just like, man, I need 2 6s, and I was like, dear, any chaos god that's listening, and I threw my dice.
Dark patron,
and I got box cars, and I was just laughing because Josh is like, what? I was like, I got box cars, right? And he's just like, oh, that's awesome. And I was just like, because
he sold his soul for box cars.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. You too can become a champion of the gods.
Yeah.
Oh man, it is. It's crazy though, like how swingy the game can be. But I do like that as well, because it's, again, the best battle plan can just get foiled within a single dice roll, and you're like, oh, here we go.
I tried to explain that Titanicus is like Mario Kart, or like Mario Party. I don't know if you've ever played these games, Bill, where...
Oh, I'm aware of Mario Kart, yeah.
So you could be in first for the whole game, and then there'll be some,
you just hear that noise.
Yeah, that one blue shell, and it screws your whole thing up, and you're in last place, and it's just like, The
worst part is you can hear it coming, and it's getting louder, and you're like, oh, and your like toes curl as you're just still accelerating with the controller. Yeah.
And that's Titanicus, when all of a sudden, you're like, oh, I'll just run my Titan a little hot. I'll just run him a little hot. And all of a sudden you're just rolling real bad on the reactor, and then you just explode him because you rolled a 10.
Yeah.
When he had shields, but you just ran him hot. So.
Yeah, you could also be like me with that one Warhound who tried to get away. A Reaver was able to catch up to me quite quickly because he was rocking out a Foxx Maniple with Gryphonicus. So the Reavers are very mobile and very hard to get away from. And I ended up doing some mini explosions, did D3, strength 9 damage to my body. I ended up taking like 2 pips of damage. And he was so close, he was like, oh, I'm going to call shots on the body now. He's like, because you kind of helped me, right? And I was like, yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. You're welcome, Josh. I was like, roll hot, buddy. And yeah, just like a hot knife through butter. And that was it. Warhound went down, and I was like, ugh. I practically handed it to him, like, here, please cut here. So it was fun, though. It was good. It was a good learning game to knock some rust off. And again, with the more active placing now, I think it'll get a lot better.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So, I know we've talked a lot about it, a little bit here and there, but we're planning on trying to grow the community locally. So I've got a event on the horizon. It'll be for the end of March. Trying to start getting some of the people out of the woodworks. Like, it's been around for a solid 2 years. There's, on the one page, I want to say there's almost like 60 people locally. But I think like a solid 20 like actually post and have played at some point, and I'd like to tap into that play group and hopefully entice some more people to check it out and start coming down to play. I think it'll be a lot of fun, especially just having having everybody get together for some of the games. I've been doing some reading online from guys making Titanicus events and seeing how they run, and we're trying to look at throwing like a narrative spin on it and having some background story where in this particular one it's going to be a de-escalation type event. So you'll start with 2,000 points and you'll drop 400 points for round 2, and then you'll drop 400 points for round 3, and it'll be just a three round one dayer, but just to try to show and keep it fun and fluffy, where your Titans are engaging, they're battling, damage is happening, Titans are actually getting knocked out and falling down. So out of the Titans that you'll end up losing in battle, out of those you have to reduce, right, and take one of them out to make room. And just to showing this awesome attrition between the forces. And I think it'll be fun for like a first time. You know, let's just get out there and roll dice, and we'll have some prizing and, you know, some pretty cool little swag items and whatnot. But it'll definitely be a lot of fun to check it out, see how the event runs, and from there probably start looking at some campaign stuff, or maybe pickup games. I know Dan was looking into it a little bit deeper than I was, but very cool layer of storytelling where you can engage in another battle, right, with damaged Titans. Actually, Dan, why don't you just touch on that a little bit, because you're a little more familiar than I am.
Yeah, so from my understanding, the whole campaign works on credits. And if you've ever played like Mech Warrior, it's basically like that. You know, you start with so much money, and then you buy your mechs. In this case, it'd be Titans. So you buy your Titans, and you basically your Titans. Everything's separate too. So all your weapons, when you buy them, you're buying them. You just stick them in a roster. So whenever you go into a battle, that's what you load out. You're putting on your Titan, and basically you're playing for honor, but you know, you're also playing for money. And during the battle, as you get damaged, at the end of the battle, you keep all that damage. So if you want to start the next game with no damage, you have to start repairing it with your credit. So if you don't have any credit, or you know, you're spending credit elsewhere or whatever, you could end up starting a battle with a half busted Reaver, or you know, a whatever, right, just to even try and fill your mana pool up.
And that sounds super unforgiving.
Yeah, and I think it could add this little cool layer of guys just being like, well, whatever, I'll just keep whatever damage because I want to stick, you know, a bellicose cannon on my warlord this time. But I don't care if he starts with one crit on the legs or something, right? I'm just going to keep him back. So there's that whole like layer of like, oh, you know, I'm not going to charge up today because I'm scared he's going to get beat up. So, but it also makes people play safer.
Yeah, it does.
I think it will anyways, if people are worried about losing Titans, because in the game, if a Titan dies, you have to roll to see if your crew dies, because you do get a crew in the game, and they do gain experience and all this other stuff, but your crew has to eject, and if they don't eject, or if on the D6 roll, if they don't eject, then they basically lose them. And then to get that Titan back that die or gets destroyed at the end of the battle, you have to salvage it. So you have to pay, I think you have to pay whatever the chassis costs plus a percentage. I think it's 20% or 40%. I can't remember of what the initial chassis cost.
Oh wow!
And so there's like all these cool little things that you could do. I think, and you could make it as complex as you want to, because you could get to the point where you can like have people control forge worlds, and then the forge worlds are doing things for you, and then you could have people, you know, assign people to go fight these different worlds. You know, it's as complex as you want. It's in the Iron and Shadow book is the one that has like the complete campaign. So
nice. I'll definitely have to check it out, because it does sound like a lot of fun. Especially, you know, get some of the kinks worked out, see how it kind of plays out with a larger group, and if it's something we can incorporate down the road, I think it would be a lot of fun to you know, try and keep this campaign feel going throughout an event, and having like truly the Princeps that, you know, has piloted their Legio the most effectively, standing at the end. I think that'd be kind of sweet to be able to reflect that on the tabletop and locally throughout that campaign stuff. So
yeah, and I know that it's going to be a lot of more like managing like your lists and stuff, and like trying to figure out what's what, and but I was just thinking that you don't even so much have to do like the money part or like the experience part for it, but you could do, because we've played Centurion events, or one of your Centurion event was you have loyalists and traitors, right? Where you're like, you guys figure out who's fighting who.
Yeah.
Right. I remember was this pre-COVID or BC or AC?
That was BC, man. All BC.
Or I guess DC during COVID.
Yeah, we came up with these good little acronyms, BC, before COVID times, because it feels like it's just
never ending. But yeah, we played this campaign style event, and you had it where people were like, oh, okay, so and so's fighting this, so you guys won, so you get to pick who's going to challenge him or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So you can do that and get benefits and whatever else, which is part of the campaign, or it could potentially be part of the campaign if you choose to go that complex.
Yeah. It wouldn't be bad, I guess, to start honestly like really adding that immersion into it, because I think the more immersive a campaign is, the more excited the players are to actually play it, and then the more enjoyable it becomes. It really starts to pick up steam. Like in the beginning, we'd be like, "Oh, this is kind of, what is this clunky shit you came up with?" Right? Like, but you start playing and you start actually cranking through games, and you're like, "Oh, you know what? This isn't actually so bad," because it's adding that little extra layer of fun to your games. It's like the difference between just like, I was gonna use 40K as an example, but just like a 40K game, or like a little more in depth with like the Crusade rules.
Oh, right? Yeah.
So you can add a little extra layer of fun to it, and you're still playing the game. It's just a little different. So I think it'll be a lot of fun to explore. So that will be good. I ended up, what else? For Titanicus, definitely, just trying to get the rest of the backlog done. I've still got a Warlord, I've still got Nemesis Warbringer, and I still have a War Master Titan to bust out, so it's, I got a decent amount of work ahead of me with those kits, but I've got lots of magnets and lots of glue, and so it's gonna be fun. I just want to get this current little batch of stuff I have waiting done, just to kind of get some completed Titans, so I'm ready for that event. Get everything kind of set up, but yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I got lucky and got a Psi Titan from Forge World, and now I'm just waiting on Battle Bling to deliver the alternative head.
The goods. The good.
Yeah.
Oh, you got that, the mage head?
Yeah, the one with the little eyeball popping out or whatever.
Nice.
So
very nice. Yeah, I have a few Battle Bling items myself that I was going to do a little video on, just to show kind of the different stuff that I got, and for anybody who's not familiar, I'll have a link in the description so you can check out their Etsy store. Really cool 3D printed upgrades. They come supported for magnets and everything as well, just like the plastic stuff. But they have a totally huge array of different style weapons. Some of them that are reflected in the book, some are just super outlandish, and you can customize your Titans however you want them to look, honestly.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of lots of cool stuff. Like some of the cool stuff I saw, they're actually mostly for Reavers. They got chaos stuff where you can there's a little socket that you put in there, and then it's got two sockets. So if you wanted to, for whatever reason, a Reaver with two power fists on one side, not that you could play with it in the game, but just to make him look corrupted in some way, right?
Yep.
Or there's the one with there's like a ball and chain.
Yeah, they have like a corruption flail thing you can glue in, and yeah, it's pretty sweet.
And then they have like if you're the kind of guy that's like, oh, I have a War Master, I'm not buying the other version of it. Well, they have those alternative upgrade parts for you. So if you wanted, if you had a War Master, and you're like, oh, I want to maybe play with an Iconoclast, but I don't want to spend the outrageous money and have a second model I'm probably never use.
Yeah.
They have, they have a Chain Fist, they have a Power Claw. So if you wanted to run that, and then they have like the top, they have, top mounted carapace weapons that you could substitute for whatever the alternative is. So
yeah,
they're definitely the good guys to go to for stuff like that.
They are, for sure. I know there's a bunch of different companies out there. It's just this one kind of came out on the market. It came out really hot for those Warlord upgrades. The War Master upgrades. I was looking and pricing it out, and I think it's about $85, and you can get everything you need to change out from a War Master into an Iconoclast, which isn't bad considering that Iconoclast is $190 retail.
Yeah, here in Canada.
Yeah, in Canada, the land of maple and beavers. So yeah, it's just it's pretty good value considering like it's less than half what the model would cost you. And it is unique. They add a little unique flair to your actual model, so that's kind of a nice thing.
Because they have options too, right? So they have like the chain sword, and then they have like a chain axe.
Yeah, big axe.
Yeah. So I'm definitely happy, and I've gone back to them twice now. So.
It's pretty good. All in all, it's pretty good. But definitely let us know in the comments if you guys have been getting some games in, if you've been learning any crucial moments like the rest of us. If you've been using Battle Bling or building your own custom stuff, or sending us more pics. I know we've been noticing some more on the hashtag Trident Wargaming on Instagram. We always like to go check it out, and there's been new models popping on there, which is always cool to see. So it's a lot of fun. I know with some of that stuff you were working on, Dan, because you were playing Andy with what was it, Mortis? No,
my own Legio.
Oh, you made your own. Oh, okay. I was curious because I was like looking at it and I was like, oh, it looks like Mortis. I was like, Mortis-ish.
They're just dark. They have black tops, and then they have a burgundy bottom half. And I just kind of went through the book, and I was like, oh, what's kind of what makes them look traitor. So I basically just wanted to build a Legio that I was just like, when people look at it, they go, yeah, that's traitor.
Yeah.
Right. So I just picked some color schemes and some colors that were very close to other Legios, and maybe that's probably why.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
They seem like Mortis, but
yeah. Well, similar colors, but definitely a little bit different. I know they were looking pretty cool though with the gold and stuff. So they were looking good. It'll be fun. We'll have to take some pictures and.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Post some more pictures of the games as we play, because I know yourself, you're well on your way to having all your stuff done, and Josh went ham and just was like, "Hey guys, I got a Legio," and you're like, "What the hell?" Like, he's like, "Yeah, I like this game," and next thing I know, he had a Legio done. I was like, "Jesus, like holy, you want to paint mine too?" Because damn, that was fast.
And he does a pretty good job too.
Yeah.
For a guy that's colorblind, he paints very well.
Yeah.
And he's painting to these higher standards with, like, the rust spots and the the shading and the
chipping damage and everything,
weathering, and
if you get a chance, I do have some pictures. So if you're looking at or watching this on YouTube, the thumbnail will actually have a picture of one of Josh's Reavers, and I'll throw up the other 2 pictures on there as well. But like, the guy hand painted these checker patterns in some certain spots, and at first I was like, did you hand paint those, or is that a decal? And he's like, oh man, I hand painted that. And I'm like looking at him like, oh my goodness, like that's really good, like really good. So it's definitely inspired me to get rolling and get, you know, some cool stuff going on my Legio, with some marble effects here and there, some checkers, some stripes, different style heraldries on all the different Titan engines. Just, you know, really make each war machine feel like its own, but on the tabletop it's part of a whole, right? And I think that's half the fun with Titanicus, is just all the different kind of customization you can do. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. You can go as simple as you want, or you can make them all, you know, checker patterns and stripes and all these other things. And that's what I love about the game. It's not like painting Space Marines where all of them are the same, and there's no point in painting every Space Marine to look different, because you're going to be spending hours doing that.
It's true.
Well, Titanicus, you know, you might have 6 models, and it's easier to do all that.
It does feel easier. It's definitely a lot less. It's a lot less to do. Airbrush is awesome. I ended up picking up. Well, that reminds me. I ended up picking up a one of those gold Liquitex paint pens or markers to try out for some trim love, because I've been seeing it online, been hearing more guys checking it out, and I'm like, well, I'm about to go through trim hell, and I was like, you know what's the worst that can happen? I do it on, say, a Warhound to practice, and I'm like, I don't like it, and I go back to brush, or it becomes like my new ace in the tool belt, right?
Yeah, I don't know. That marker sounds pretty fancy to me. I don't know. You're not getting down low with us.
Yeah,
I'm just using a Sharpie.
You ain't crawling through the trenches
from Walmart.
The Sharpie, yeah. Well, then
the gold Sharpie,
yeah. Well, then there still are guys, you know, that are very offended by the notion of, you know, using a Sharpie or a marker. And it's like, you know, you're cheating. You're not goddamn war hero like me with the paintbrush, right? And it's like, oh my goodness, right? Like, man, it's gonna be painted though. It'll be okay, right? Like, that's the main goal. But
yeah, once you put sealer over it, you can't even tell.
No. Well, because did you use the Sharpie on your homebrew Legio?
Yeah.
And see, I thought you painted it. So, no. Like, there you go. It works nice, and yeah, works nice. The coverage looked good, because I took a peek at them and I was like, that's kind of cool. And I'm like, And I just reflected on, painting that Warlord damn near like killed my hands, man. Carpal tunnel setting in. I was like, oh god, it's not even done. So, just brutal. But I'll definitely keep everybody kind of appraised, and I'll take some pics and on the Instagram and stuff of. When it comes in, and I'll do a little couple test runs and just see, right? Like, I'm using Retributor armor as my main color, and this is kind of like a bright gold, so I hope it's going to be very close where I don't have to double back and do stuff that's already done. But we'll see. Only time will tell, so time will tell. But yeah, no, overall it was this was a good one. It was nice to bring you on again, Dan, and, you know, talk some shop and get some things kind of rolling for Titanicus. And I know there's a lot of excitement going, so we'll definitely keep bringing out the content for you guys. And yeah, you know, just let us know how your games are going. That's the big thing. It's huge. So
yeah. Yeah, and, you know, thanks for having me, and I, you know, I might not be part of Trident, but I do like seeing people posting stuff and talking about stuff on your page and your channel and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's cool to see the fans come and, you know, post things because, you know, I'm a fanboy myself, so seeing that stuff is cool to me too. So
yeah, no, and it is cool. It's half the reason we wanted to kind of keep doing this stuff, right? Is it's fun to bring out content. It's fun to do that. The real fun comes from, you know, joining our friends on here, playing the games, and then interacting with everybody online and checking out their projects, because that's where everybody draws inspiration from someone else, right? So it's just this, you know, this circle of hobby life that everyone keeps kind of contributing to. So it is a lot of fun. So definitely is. But yeah, that's it for now, my fellow Princeps. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and hopefully your reactors are cool and your weapons are hot in your games. And yeah, we'll definitely catch you next time here on Trident.
Trident Wargaming. Build it, paint it, play it.